Hello and welcome back to the Daily Conjecture Vlogcast. Today I am joined with a very special guest, my good friend Sarah. How's it going, Sarah?
I'm good.
Glad to have you on. We've just been hanging out, enjoying our morning, had some breakfast, and now we're going to get in today's video with we've already been sort of hashing out what we wanted to how we wanted to do this video, what we wanted to cover, and I was a little there was this content here, which I'd already started making some notes on and kind of gathering my thoughts for, I suppose, what would be one topic, and then we started we watched a video just now about what I would say is a completely different topic. But yeah, so basically right before we started recording, I basically just told her, yeah, we'll just hit record and see what happens, which I enjoy that, at least from what I've been doing so far with this series, and just kind of, of course, having some notes, especially for the specific topics that I want to that I cover, but also a little bit of that sort of improv, kind of just off the cuff, and just what thoughts come to mind, just try to make it in a more cohesive manner, and especially now, which absolutely will be in a much more conversational manner, I suppose, which would be awesome, which will be very, very good. So we might even be able to sort of go through this, but then also kind of touch base on some of the other stuff that we were getting into. So actually, if you want, tell us a little bit about yourself, Sarah. What's your main aspiration right now? Something that we have in common.
Probably music.
Yeah.
Music type stuff, creating music and delving more into other people's perceptions and what they make,
Okay.
all that good stuff. I think we share that.
How would you describe those two worlds collide, in your mind, between doing what you want to do and the stuff you want to do, and then also, what you just said, seeing what other people are doing? Does it, would you say it motivates you, or?
Yeah, I think in a way it can even be considered communication form in a way. I don't know, not that you're, I don't know. It's seeing what other people do, it's inspiring, of course, to get a different perspective of what somebody else is thinking or going through, whatever their motivation is for making whatever they're making. But then, you kind of bring yourself into it, and then you're in the same, you're kind of coming back with your own, that's why I guess I say it's communication almost, because you're coming back with your own form of that in a way. It's other people could get inspired by what you're doing too, It's
yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe when it comes to doing a cover, and then it's this is how maybe the original sounds, and then you might
you kind of make your own version of it.
Yeah, or you can choose basically at that point how much you want it to be close to the original. That's also something that I think about when I do some of the covers that I've been doing, which have been pretty much all acoustic guitar, like the one that I showed you last, the Come Out and Play, Offspring or whatever.
Yeah.
Come out and play. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, we've gotten together a few times, collaborate on some music stuff for one of the music projects that I had going on, sort of on and off since I've been out here, which has been mostly acoustic, and then with some drum tracks, and then some of the other tracks that I recorded for some of the songs I wrote, kind of some of the riffs that I want to turn into songs, that kind of thing. with more like kind of desert rock, more electric guitar, some synthesizers. So that I mean, it's cool that you kind of word it that way in a musical in musical context, in like that you're able to sort of converse in that way. Like there is absolutely that like language about making music where when you are playing with other musicians, and you start jamming, like that's on right now. You viewers probably won't be able to hear it, but it's jamming. Bob Marley is playing on the radio right now. One of my favorites. Which, you know what's funny? There's a jazz kind of remix of this song that plays at work. At the restaurant that we both serve at, they do a remix of that song, which I thought was funny.
I actually, I think I know, yeah.
They do,
I didn't realize that, though, until you pointed it out.
Yeah, they do remixes of several songs. That Peter Gabriel, that song "In Your Eyes," in your eyes. They play the original that song, but there's also like a cover I remember hearing, like for the first time a few weeks ago. I didn't even know that somebody did a cover of that, and then it was on the radio. So very cool, and it, totally, but basically a totally different vibe, which is nice, because I mean that is when it gets super interesting. I mean, I think we were even talking about it yesterday, about how we, between the two of us, we first hit it off with metal, rock, those styles of music.
Okay.
But then like as time goes on, we start sharing like some other genres of music that we enjoy. All of that just accumulates over time, as much, the more and more music you listen to, it all just accumulates. And for a person like me, it just like, it's something sticks in my mind. It might be a vocal line, it might be a riff, right? A melody, a beat. Something might stick out, the harmonies or a specific instrument or sound will stick out, and that sound, like actually just that sound, will stick in my mind, which is awesome. And then on that note too, then when you go to create the music itself, it's gonna sound like something, like it's inevitable. So I suppose that's what, for those musicians and artists that are out there who actually do care about trying to develop their sound, have a more original sound, while still keeping that in mind, that they're going to have influences. You're going to make sounds, and make music that sounds like something, which, is not bad. It's not all bad. It can actually get you to a place of potentially, sort of finding your sound, your groove, the vibe that you want, the sounds that you want. Well, then at that point is like basically just what genre of music you're writing in. If that's the focus, like I, just like I brought up earlier, like more like pretty straightforward desert rock project. It's gonna have some pretty mostly straightforward type of beats, but like it might kind of change up a little bit. Might have some very vibey kind of guitar stuff, maybe some synthesizers, and then some kind of dreamy, wispy vocals, to just kind of tie it all together. And,
yeah.
So I mean, you could boil it down and just say like, well, yeah, this is what I'm going for, like in a general sense. But then you still, like, depending on what you want to do, what you want to add, like instruments and sounds, to just give it flavor, spice it up a little bit. You're gonna throw in like, some little synthesizer sounds, some pads or something like that, or like, add some vocal harmonies to like really, give it some layers, to, just enhance the sound. That's absolutely one of my favorite things. Just like when you're able to just go to jam, just pick up an instrument or pick up the microphone, just go. Don't try to think about it too much. Like just go, see what happens, and then eventually you're gonna come up with something that you like. And then you just hit record, and it might not, you might not nail it on the first take, right?
Well, you have to try at least, right?
Right. Like, absolutely, put in the effort to make it as, good, but don't see it in a way of, like, a perfection necessarily, but, like, I don't know. What do you think? Because, like, as a vocalist, as a singer, like, do you think that, like, being trained, right? Would you say, like, you're more inclined to kind of follow that sort of structure? Like, these are the techniques, and this is how it's done in the professional world, and that's your main focus? Or are you just, this is the sound I want to go for? That's my approach, because I'm not trained or anything. So.
I mean, I think it kind of has to do with your own motivations with it and how you think about it personally, because, I mean, I feel like I try to take whatever I learn and turn it into my own flavor, because it's never going to be, like, it's never going to sound exactly, like, I don't know. I think that's kind of the beauty of making music, is it's the creativity of these, making your own sound. You know what I mean? So, yes and no. I mean, taking a lot from the professional side, but it's more like, like knowledge about like technique and stuff. It's like you can still kind of turn that into your own. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Very cool. I've already basically decided that I'm just going to do this in a separate thing, or even literally, like, if you did want to potentially join in a completely separate one another time, we'll just do the separate.
Sure.
Because
sorry, we kind of went off on a
I would rather do this, and there's plenty that can be said about some of this stuff. So this content will be in another video. Stay tuned. I didn't really say what it's about, but it's fine, because I have a whole list, lots of notes of a bunch of stuff. But the video that we just watched was about ambition, and the difference in, well, having ambition and not. Living your life in just that way of you're content, you're existing, you're living, you're thriving in your own right, in your own way, in the path that maybe you were born into, or just how things have played out.
Being okay with where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that.
How things have played out in your life, how, like, the things that have happened that have shaped you to just lead you down a path that you just are walking. You're content. There's not friction there, in your soul and your being. There's no.
You're just okay where you are.
Yeah, you're not conflicted about it.
You're on a journey.
What's like the difference between that and actually having this ambition? Like in this video we want, I'll put a link in the description for this video that we watched, is why is it okay to have no ambition? And then, so yeah, that side of the spectrum, and then the other end of the spectrum of being exposed to all these careers, career paths, potential the classic when you're whatever grade, first, second, third grade or whatever. When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. When I grow up, I want to be a firefighter,
Right.
and doctor and all this stuff. It's interesting because you'll have those moments in your life, somewhere from when you're young and then of course, going through the grades, right? Going through middle school, going through high school. At that point, once you're about to graduate high school and whether or not you're going to go to college, at that point, that, probably the majority of us, that's when we actually are very actively thinking, what am I going to do? what do I want to do? And then again, depending on what you want to do, you might extend your schooling into college, go that path to actually obtain a piece of paper that says you're certified, and you have the know-how, you have the knowledge and the skill, you've developed at least a little bit of that knowledge, and whatever that looks like, in implementing it into the actual skill development that enables you to go out and get a job. Very, very interesting. What do you think? What would you propose is a healthier approach, or just like, in a way of like, what is better for kids, young people, to sort of get it in their mind? Is it better to like have them understand the difference? That's what I would say. I think it'd probably I don't know how that would look in the classroom or just in a teaching sense. What do you think?
What do you mean exactly?
So again, like, at some point it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like you have this idea, right? But that is literally just because of what you've seen. It's not necessarily like because of any one thing. I mean, it could be like a potential, role model, right? It could be a parent or a relative, something like that, family friend, something like that. Someone that you admire, that is in that position. They're a doctor or whatever, or like maybe you have like a favorite character on a show or like in a movie or something like that. Something you see online, and then it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do when I grow up. So that kind of thing makes sense. But what does it look like when you're, just like the video we watched, where it's like,
you're just content where you are, like the simplicity, like sort of aspect. Like, what exactly are you asking?
Well, like, so in this video that we watch, is this young boy was not exposed. He didn't know. He didn't actually have a clue to necessarily like say like, I want to do this. I want to be a doctor. So then that makes it a goal, or like, at least it. For any of you out there watching who actually became what you said you wanted to be when you were a kid, kudos, because that's commitment. That's entirely what that is. But I think it's maybe the purpose is just to give kids and young people an idea, right? It's just to put an idea in their mind of what they could potentially be.
Yeah.
Right?
But I feel like there is like kind of an underlying pressure sometimes with like kind of like with the video you watched, that of just like sort of a pressure to have an ambition, or have a goal to something, and it's almost like promoting like, it's kind of like in a way promoting not being content with your life, like always like you need to get here, here, and here, in order to be a complete person. It's actually interesting. I was actually just watching another video about kind of having to do with that, of just like not feeling complete without certain things, and like not really being okay with yourself. And I think that kind of stems from like a young age, when you're being told that you need to have this ambition, or you need to like go to school and go to college and do certain things, you know what I mean? So, kind of forgot where I was going with that, but you got what I mean, just...
well, pressure.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's like, it's kind of like a pressuring thing, but I think it's also good for like young people to explore different things and be exposed to different things, but I don't know about like the actual like pressure of having a like box of goals, I guess, so to speak, that you have to pick one of those, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on that note too, like, for those of you out there who I mean, you hear those kind of stories a lot too, where the parents want you know, especially like like learning about different cultures and hearing those kind of stories, you know, like the classic, you know, sons out in the Middle East, like these type of cultures that have stemmed from like years and years of tradition in that kind of way of like, you know, why can't you, you know, for those like sort of parents and pressuring kind of individuals like that. Why can't you be a doctor like your brother? Why can't you, you know? Why don't you be a lawyer? You know, be something with high status, right?
Right. And it's like kind of expected of them.
And
I did think it was interesting that the video, you know, the one about ambition is like titled "Why It Is Okay to Not Have Ambition." Like it's a, why is it okay? Like I don't know. I just kind of brings about a different.
right.
Sort of like that's a, I don't know. I feel like that kind of changes that the statement a bit. Like it's really interesting to me. I don't know.
Right. So instead of it being in the form of a question,
It's
why
like,
is
it
it?
is,
Is
you know.
why it is, because it is saying
I
that.
don't know if that was on purpose.
Yeah, it well, I mean, and that's the thing too, like, you know, if you have a passion, which, you know, especially like what we've already discussed with music, is like that was just, that's just a part of me, like that, like for as long as I can remember, from a young age, you know, picking up my first instrument, learning guitar, and then down the road learning other instruments, you know, here and there as it goes, you know, incorporating that in the music that I would make, like, and then, you know, something that I don't super like talking about it or thinking about it, but because it's something that might be considered like a conflicting opinion, or like maybe kind of pressuring to in the opposite way. You know, I've had people say like, you know, what if like actually say to me and ask me like, you know, what if that's not what you're supposed to do? You know, there's more out there than music, you know, like family members and stuff. So it hurts, but it makes me just kind of, that it makes some thoughts like kind of play out in my mind where I'm like, either like I'm not sure if these individuals that are coming at me with these types of comments and questioning like what I want to do or whatever, is like, either it's like they don't think that I know that, they don't see, or they don't believe, they don't think that I actually understand that there is much more out there than just any one thing,
Right.
such as music. Like, but just trying to break it down. What is music? It's an art form. It is a form of art. So, the point is literally just to be able to express yourself, get this energy that you have out in a positive way.
Yeah.
Is an outlet. That's what I like that.
Absolutely. I think somebody once told me that it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if it's cheesy, but like it's kind of like your own like personal like outspoken like diary in a way, or like it can be for some people, I guess, just
Yeah.
as an outlet type thing where, you know, you're kind of expressing emotion, like, or like expressing yourself to the world.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I've never, like, I mean, clearly, because I never took lessons, like, you know, not professionally trained, anything like that. I mean, one of the guests I had yesterday, she had a piano recital to go to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I, you know, just kind of talking with her about music, and so my response was very, you know, that's awesome. Like, hope that goes well. See, I don't play the piano. I play the keys because I can do, the most basic of stuff, but I don't actually play piano in the way that like I know the scales and theory and all that.
Yeah.
Like I do know theory to an extent, like enough to be able to like make music, make songs, and come up with come up with melodies, come up with riffs and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's enough for me. That's enough for the kind of music that I want to make.
Right.
But it doesn't, it doesn't mean you stop there. You can enhance your skills and improve upon, your techniques and all that stuff. Absolutely. Like that part of music is just as fun as just going and winging it and experimenting.
Absolutely.
And just fiddling around.
Yeah.
Like I find both, concepts fascinating and good.
Really
like
interesting because they kind of like make each other up.
Yeah.
In a way.
And then what does it look like when you actually start meshing, those two realms together? You have the more professional, more like correct, right techniques, and you learn how to do things the right way, and then you take that knowledge and implement it in your more, quirky kind of, experimental sort of sense.
Yeah.
Which,
I think that's a really big part of like art and creativity in general. Is like knowing the rules so you can break them.
Right.
You know them. So it's like, if that makes any sense. Like,
yeah.
Same thing with like a cartoonist, like artist. They know the rules of anatomy, generally speaking, so they're able to like break those rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make something out of it that makes sense still. Like that's still, like it's just their own like expression of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I
think it's the same with music.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, yeah, you said it. Like, you have to know the rules, and then you'll start formulating, this is the way it's supposed to be done, or at least the way that, this kind of general structure from, like, how we're, the music theory that we have, in the Western world, which spawned from, or I guess like the European. I'm blanking on like the right terms and contributors and stuff, but spawning from the classical era, and then kind of going back throughout the different eras, because there's a bunch, right? There's like the Baroque period, the Renaissance, and then there's like a few others like spanning back through time that led to the standard that we basically are taught, teach and are taught in the Western world. But then you start getting into like, more Eastern styles of music, and it's like, yeah, they're
like they'll have their own versions of what it means.
Yeah, you have like we were looking at microtonal guitars and how the fretboards are all like they're spaced apart differently, but that is for a purpose. It's to, I guess, is like having what could be considered the correct pitch or correct tone are like in a microtonal sense, of just having a regular normal fret guitar, and you have it in standard tuning. But then if you might have a standard tuning in a microtonal guitar, and it's going to sound a little bit different, but if that's considered to be like actually like to the T dialed down, every musician who plays an instrument that they have to tune it, especially string instruments, tuning guitars, I find myself constantly like going and like making sure that it's in tune. I'm like, and I'm like, is this in tune? And I'll go I'll go to try to tune it, play a chord, and I'm like, it does sound a little off or whatever. So every guitarist knows that struggle until you get your hands on some good instruments And then if you have, for those that play electric guitar, if you have the locking nut system, that's where you can go to tune it, and then you literally just lock it, and then that way you can, yeah, and then it, like, basically stays in tune.
I do not play the electric guitar.
It's a lot for like with a Floyd Rose system where you have the tremolo system here with the whammy bar. That way you can go hard and bend the strings and whammy bar, dive bomb stuff.
Yeah.
Without it going out of tune. So that tends to be one of my guitars has that on it. It's not a Floyd Rose, but it's same thing. Locking nut system with the tremolo and put a whammy bar in it. So go to town. But yeah, I mean, that's why I've been enjoying doing this, is because it's me building myself up and working myself up to a point where I can start getting into the other stuff I want to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then at that point, it really is just a matter of having a, preferably a designated space, a more more permanent studio setting. Anybody who's been watching or who's been, any of you have seen a few of these videos, like I'm in a different place every time, basically, like different public places. So, which is fine, because again, don't let your, don't let the fear of like you trying to have to figure it out and like, find a way to make it happen. Don't let that keep you from doing it.
Yeah.
Just go and do it, and then over time you'll perfect your craft.
Well, it's never going to be exactly the way that you envision it.
Do what?
When you, like, it's never going to be exactly the same as you envision it when you actually do it. When you actually put it out there, it's not. It's just not. I think it's important to be okay with that.
Yeah.
It'll grow. If that's kind of what you meant.
Well, yes. So it won't. Yeah, it won't be exactly how you envision it, but having that vision in mind is what makes you keep going back.
Yeah.
It's what makes you keep going back for more, keep doing it, and just but while also trying to be mindful about different little things. Get better recording gear, better whatever, lighting and audio recording. Keep building your material so that the content you're creating starts just getting better and better.
Yeah. But you can't wait around for that.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Video editing, thumbnails, like, social media, like advertising, and then eventually, hopefully down the road, depending on how I can make not only this series but just this channel in a whole, seeing what series can be potentially like sources of income, down the road. Start having stuff be monetized, which that is only going to come from views, essentially. Getting the content out there to where it's consistent, and the same thing. The viewers will come back for more. They'll want more of this kind of content, and potentially be excited for some other stuff. Maybe that'll get a little bit of hype. Some of it might be like hit and miss, and then like eventually, you'll post something, and then you'll see that got the most views in that amount of time, and then take note of that. Look at your analytics, which you can go on the channel, and you can see like the percentage of this and that over time, how many views, this and that. So
yeah,
all very cool, very interesting. For the more like kind of social media exposure end of it, that is pretty much the same thing, where hey, on Facebook, hey, I just posted a new video, guys, go check it out. And then again, editing the videos to make little shorts you can put on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then you have the Reels thing, which someone in a video that I was watching recently was like actually stressing the importance of that, because it was probably Gary Vee. It's probably a Gary Vee video talking about underpriced attention in like whatever, certain aspects of a platform, certain like approach, right? Making the shorts, YouTube shorts, and shorter videos, short form content instead of long form content, which this tends to be. This is unedited, just kind of going in a longer form.
Yeah.
And then, taking little segments, the parts that that have like whatever little message or whatever, like one thing that someone said, it could be one sentence or whatever. You literally just take that clip, clip it out or whatever, post that as its own thing. So
yeah, it gets you. Yeah, I mean, people scroll through that kind of stuff all the time.
So yeah, what are y'all, you the viewers out there, what are your thoughts on ambition? Do you live a life where you have goals that seem like almost beyond your reach? They're far off down the road, that you are striving and pushing yourself. You're finding yourself, maybe you're kind of find yourself getting frustrated, or just it seems to be more difficult. Do you question that? Do you wonder if maybe you shouldn't be so ambitious or try to go for those big goals? You should just be content with your life. And then if there are any of you out there who have had experiences like that, where you at one point in your life had all these goals and dreams, big ambitions, but then found that it was just better for you, for your own individual life, to just kind of do away with that and just be content with what you're doing, and just live, be happy, be content. Me personally, in my life, what I've experienced is I've sort of accepted, within the last few years, just kind of going with the flow and just living a life that is as healthy and as good and positive as I can. But at the same time, I do still have these goals and dreams and things that I want to do, that I do, as of right now, I do believe that getting to that place and then just continually working at it, doing this content every day, doing other stuff, and then I really believe it, it will all come together. And then at that point is just the right approach, making sure that you're being responsible, financially responsible, do your due diligence, do research, and just try to stay positive, try to keep a good head, and hope, probably also very important to surround yourself with good people who want the best for you, people who, can potentially help you, motivate you, to achieve, to progress.
Yeah.
So, any last thoughts?
Not really, honestly.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for joining for today's video, Sarah.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. For all of those of you out there, have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. And I will catch you all in the next video.